In tonight's S.W.A.T episode, Luca got shot while trying to stop a robbery. He got hit a bunch of times and had to be rushed to the hospital. Everyone was freaking out, couldn't believe it happened in broad daylight. Luca's the nicest guy, always there for his friends. He was super dedicated to his job, never settled down or had kids. He even helped out younger officers and kids in need. He even accepted his half-sister, whose mom had an affair with their dad. Luca's just a really good person. Miraculously, Luca made it through surgery. The bullet missed his heart by a hair. Luckily, the dumb robbers left clues, and the detective easily tracked them down. S.W.A.T had to go get this guy, and Hondo insisted it had to be his crew. He knew they couldn't just off the dude with everyone watching. They couldn't let him slip away on a technicality. It all had to be legit. Hondo understood that. He still wanted his crew to be the ones to bust Omar because they wanted justice for their buddy. Hicks gave them the green light. Hondo and his team caught Omar off guard. They nabbed him before he could grab his gun. They had to zap him with a taser when he tried to grab a knife. After that, Omar clammed up. He said his buddies would off him if he snitched, so he kept his trap shut. They tossed him in the slammer, hoping a stint behind bars would make him see the light. They were right, because Omar eventually reached out to his lawyer. Omar was about to make a deal, but got offed in prison by Rick Fontana. Rick didn't have anything to lose since he was in for life, so he offed Omar for his buddies. Turns out his buddies got to Rick's gal, Devin. She's a stripper with a kid who needs special care. She got paid a nice chunk of change to convince her man behind bars to take out Omar. Rick was still into her and didn't mind doing the dirty work. The cops got Rick to confess by threatening his brother, who had turned his life around by opening a legit restaurant and starting a family. The restaurant was a front for some shady business, but the brother was Rick's weak spot. He gave up Devin to save his brother from the heat. The cops then headed over to Devin's place. She wouldn't say a word on who had paid her to have Rick taken out. Powell saw that Devin was wearing one of the stolen rings from the jewelry store and connected her to the robbery. They were about to haul her in until she spilled. Devin admitted that the dude who had paid her off was Rocco, the bouncer at the strip joint. Powell and Alfaro saw him in the club, but he bolted when they started talking to Devin. Rocco was long gone, the only ones who knew who had pulled off the jewelry heist. They looked into Rocco's phone records and found out he was in with two other guys, Jerry Ramos and Hank David. Turns out, Hank was the one who had shot Luca. Luca was on the mend, going through physical therapy to get back in the game. And he recognized Hank's eyes as the ones that had tried to take him out. Luca thought he was done for, but luckily he was proven wrong. He was angry at the guy who messed up his nerves, and now he couldn't be a cop because he couldn't grab his weapon fast enough. His career was finished, and the same went for Deacon. Deke wanted to retire to spend more time with his family now that his wife was working, and they could live off his pension. Deacon didn't tell the team yet because he wasn't sure if it was the right time. They lost Street and Luca, and there were a lot of new faces on the team. Deke didn't want to leave when they needed him the most, but he also didn't want to delay his retirement. He was torn about what to do because his family was going through a rough time, and his marriage was on the rocks. Deke hasn't mentioned to his family that he postponed the decision, and he hasn't told his team that he's contemplating it. Hicks told him to make up his mind before his family gets angry and his team loses trust in him. Meanwhile, the search for three men continued. They eventually located Jerry, who had been tortured and killed by his companions because he knew where the valuable diamond necklace was hidden. Jerry had hidden the necklace at his cousin's hotel, where he was staying for free. He had stashed it in the hotel safe, but slipped out under torture. Unfortunately, his friends didn't want to share the loot, so they killed him. The S.W.A.T team busted into the hotel, nabbed the bad guys just in time to save the cousin, and got back the stolen necklace. Case closed. Luca wasn't too thrilled about leaving S.W.A.T. It was in his blood, after all, but he got a nice farewell from his colleagues when he retired. Powell made a wrong assumption about Alfaro hanging out at a strip club all the time. Turns out, his mom used to dance there, and he just tagged along with the other dancers. They're still figuring each other out, but Powell apologized for jumping to conclusions.